Dr.Stone is an ode to humanity. It makes it clear in each chapter. It is an idealistic vision of all the technological and scientific progress that humanity has made, and that many times, we take for granted all the technology and information that we have. The first opening highlights the potential that science has to improve our lives, while in the second opening, that potential is already being developed and improved. We start with the Earth orbiting. The sunlight appears and lets us glimpse the Earth, which allows us to see a small piece of land and between them, two rivers. At first, I thought it was a reference to the Tigris and Euphrates, which were vital for the establishment of the first civilizations on Earth, the Sumerians being the first. But, when recreating this extract, it didn't match, so, asking in forums, aka Reddit, it was established that the piece of land was the north of Russia, bordering the Kara Sea. So this ends up being more of a curiosity, unless that this detail is related with the Russian companions of Senku's father or some theory from the manga about how Russia is involved in the plot. And as the title of the song says, it is the dawning of a new day, a new era for humanity. We cut to a black frame that appears to be there only to synchronize with the musical theme. But this frame represents the petrification of humanity. Since being petrified, you cannot see or move, and yeah, I'm overthinking this, but it takes more sense later. The Dr.Stone logo appears, being formed by the stone particles, and that same layer is destroyed when the sun appears from behind Mount Fuji. This reinforced the concept of petrification, intensifying what the foreground of this opening proposed by having the Earth in motion and being illuminated by those same rays of the sun. Then, a brief detail shot of Senku's foot. This shows the disposition he has to advance in this new world. This is corroborated in the following shot. Senku heading forward, a frontal shot saying that he is sure of what he wants to achieve. But there is a detail. You do not notice the enthusiasm that Senku usually shows. You could even say that he is sad, although a more precise term could be nostalgic, not only because everyone he knew were gone, but also because he lost his father and his desire to travel to space is now very far away. In this way, this not only indicates the regression of science, but of his dreams. And this is further reinforced with the next shot, Senku almost on the edge of the left side of the screen, with his head downcast. And this is because usually, we associate going from right to left as a setback or something negative, and that applies a lot in movies or video games. There is research in this regard, since the normal thing is to go from left to right, but if it is the opposite, it seems something out of place. And repeating this pattern in so many media makes us internalize it as the norm. In this way, this opening uses this visual language to emphasize that dichotomy of the retreat of humanity and the advance that Senku will propose to this new world. And with that nostalgia for Senku and a transition using the tree, we move to the little Senku, thinking his room, in his laboratory and the gifts from his father. So I suppose that this is one of the memories that Senku has about his father and how he trusted him so much. We approach Senku and he turns to the window to look at the sky, the greatest goal for him. With a transition between the two skies, we see Yuzuriya in a window, a strange shot. I could not intuit what it could symbolize beyond the fact that she looks at the same sky as Senku, and together with Taiji, they share an interest in science, and because of that, they became childhood friends. Then we see Taiji and Senku, both of them looking forward, representing the alliance they have, and also, their complicity for Taiji's declaration. That is why it could be that Taiji seems to be about to explode and exclaim what he feels, while Senku feels confident about it. Maybe that's why he looks at him when he shouts. But as I say, with this extract it is hard to tell. Anyway, Taiji shouts to the sky and we move the camera towards the sky and then cuts towards Senku. Senku is on the left of the screen, this time with his eyes closed, either because he is still thinking about the past or because he is trying to figure out what kind of inventions he will need to survive in this world. And another big difference is that Senku is underexposed, absorbed in his world. That is why the background is white, to enhance the reflection that Senku is having, until a ray of light appears. I sense that it is the sun, which illuminates him to move to a medium shot of him, leaving Senku exposed and symbolizing that he has already decided on a plan. Suddenly, we cut to Tsukasa, who is walking head-on towards the camera. A great red aura surrounds him to magnify him, and using the trees as a background, it can be seen that he is superimposing himself on the trees, unlike Senku who is walking sideways to them, as if he were one of them. Tsukasa's facial and body expression tells us everything. His eyes are open, he has his ideals set, his fists clenched, his intentions are not open to discussion. This is then enhanced by the close-up to Tsukasa's eyes and his position on the left side of the screen. Then we have a Dutch angle of Jen underexposed, with the ambiguous universe in the background, giving it that aura of mystery, and to reinforce it, fog is implemented on the shot. In addition, The shot is constantly shaking and unfocusing, alluding to Jen's dubious intentions, and along with it, his body language follows this pattern, with circular movements. With that camera movement and blur, we move on to 3 quick shots of the inventions seen in the show, the pulley and the furnace, thus indicating that the force of a machine combined with human force can enhance the result, highlighting in the 3rd shot, the smelting of the iron it is generating, since the combination of both factors is necessary to achieve this. And all of this started thanks to the bat guano from the cave. That's why it shows us the drop falling on a black background to simulate the darkness of the cave, a drop that descends to the container that Senku is collecting. The beginning of the scientific team, represented by the flag that Yuzuriya made, decorated with stars and the logo being a spaceship, determining who the founding members are, as well as how far they want to go. And as if it were the presentation of a professional team, the members, Kohaku, Kinro and Jinro, begin to appear at the forefront to defend against any physical threat. We make a transition from Interstellar to the cabin, and for this, Lil Stars accompany the trip, introducing Senku and Chrome, being the brain of the team as they analyze the samples. Chrome's tilt vertically to the right, denoting all the knowledge it is acquiring, the progress he is making, while Senku is at the left. And as we mentioned before, the directionality of the characters in this opening is not a coincidence. Senku is usually on the left, symbolizing the past, while Chrome is the present and future of this world. The only exception for this rule is this frame. Senku is on the right, but it is justified, since this place is the school. I mean, the past. On the other hand, in this shot, Senku feels that the progress of humanity has regressed. This use of directionality is crucial to generate that contrast of the past and present. That feature is taken even further in the 2nd opening. But going back to the 1st opening, we have 3 quick shots again: Senku Cola, Sulfamide and Glass. This time, they are crucial elements for each character, the cola for Jen, the sulfamide for Ruri, and the latter is not very clear to me, since it can be the lens glass for Suika or a test tube for Senku, and through of the crystal, Kaseki can be seen upside down, perhaps from the crystal's deformation. Then he showed us what each character yearns for and how science will help him do it. Kohaku occupying a large part of the shot, to make a fade towards Ruri, indicating that curing Ruri is what Kohaku cares about the most. Therefore, both have their eyes closed, reinforcing that this is Kohaku's mind, both being enveloped by this red aura to fuel that concern. And we move to Suika, who seems framed by sunflowers and mountains, and also, denoting her desire to see properly, which she can already do due to the shine that her glasses give off. And then we have Taiju protecting Yuzuriya by putting her arm over her and her body in front of her, and again, Yuzuriya to the right and Taiju to the left, past and present. Continuing with one of my favorite shots of this opening, Senku on the left and Chrome on the right, both confident of what they can achieve, and in the background, recover the civilization that Senku knows and the one that Chrome wants to invent. We can appreciate lights, buildings and even a plane passing through. Being cut off by a light bulb that turns on suddenly, that is the indication that the potential of science is about to begin. We cut a stone that breaks as soon as it is illuminated by the brightness of the background, scattering feathers throughout the frame, referring to the fact that the first thing they managed to revive on their own was the bird from the 1st episode, or rather, thanks to that feather of the bird. Interpreting it, it could symbolize that they now have the way to rebuild that civilization. And in the last section, we have Senku in the middle of the shot, and I could not find a similar real place or meaning beyond that Senku is contemplating the potential of nature, and then looking at the audience with a confident smile, as if he was saying, "There's 10 million things I haven't done, just you wait." And so, to conclude with an entire shot of the moon, what Senku longs for the most. Without doubt, this opening composes the foundations to present the potential of science, and in reality, several shots do not have a super secret message. I mean, Dr. Stone does not pretend to be too deep. It has its moments, of course, but is not the norm that the show follows. Personally, I consider that the 2nd opening surpasses this 1st one in every aspect. But this 1st opening begins with the proposal of these things, trying to propose a narrative within the opening, continuing that narrative in the 2nd. You can really see that production effort to want to achieve something meaningful, and that's amazing.